All right, cool. So we should all be at this stage. I actually did not do the homework I assigned you, so I still have some smoothing issues here, but it's fine. I'll just do like them real quick. Here is a bullshit way to do it. I'm just going to grab everything, and I'm going to scroll down to where the smoothing groups are, and I'm going to hit this auto smooth group. Boop. But it doesn't work very well. See, like, it's not bad. Like, it smooths most of the stuff that I kind of would want it to, but it doesn't smooth some of the others. Now, the way to fix that is in auto smooth, it says 45 degrees here. So this just means any polygons that are, I think, over 45, like wider than 45 degrees will be put to a different smoothing group. Okay, so if I do like 20 degrees here, this should be a lot neater, I hope. Nope, doesn't want to do it. Okay, let's try 60. Yeah, there we go. Cool, see? So it's just a matter of like finding the right number for the thing. Now, the only problem with auto smooth is, and why I didn't show it to you, you don't get control exactly over what it does, and the other problem is also it does weird shit sometimes that you're just not sure why it's doing something. So it's a lot of stuff in 3ds Max that you're like, oh, this tutorial I found shows me how to do this really easily, and that's great. And it will work for like 80% of the cases, but then you get 20% where you're racking your brain. So that's why I wanted you to do it the old school way. But anyway, this is there for you to see. I think it has done a problem with this blade. Yeah, it has, see? So it's done stuff like that. So sometimes you don't really want to use auto smooth. You can also auto smooth individual pieces, which is what I'm going to try and do. That work better? Yeah. Cool. All right, so the next step we're going to do is quite simple. We're going to unwrap it, and we're going to then slap a texture onto it. Now, one thing we have to be aware of is the other unwrapping technique that I showed you, that kind of like flat pelt unwrapping technique, that is great for flat objects. Awesome for flat objects. Really doesn't work well with stuff like a cylinder. Let's show and see what happens. So if I grab like this whole cylinder here, I need to turn on back facing. So I grab all these picture and deselect this one. So I'm just going to do this little strip here, and I do the quick peel. This actually might work with quick peel. Does it? No, it's kind of weird. So it's squashed. You see, like it's kind of flattened, whereas the polygons here are quite long and stretch and thin, and I want them to be the same shape. So it's quick peeled okay, but it's quite like squashed. So I would have to use a different method, and the method we're going to use is called pelt unwrapping, and it will be slightly complicated. But before we do that, let's just go and make our texture that we're actually going to use. Now we have the texture here already. I'm going to use this with the blade part for sure. And I'm actually going to use, I think, different textures for the handle. It's like black leather or something. And yeah, I'm going to just get some like generic metal and black leather and try to use that. And just, I can just replace this texture with it, okay? You guys don't have to do that, but I'm just going to do it real quick. Shop. Black. Come on. Leather strips. Let's see if that works. By the way, whoever chose this picture, like, GG, it's hard. I'm gonna take. So ideally what I want for the leather strips is I want it to look like it's strips wrapping around the cylinder, right? So I'm going to try, oh god. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to try and find a photo that just has a bunch of like leather strips, something like this, but way more of them. Can find one. Or leather handle maybe. Maybe if I just Google leather handle texture, maybe we'll find one. So for now we're just learning, so we're just stealing stuff online. But when you guys do go and do your stuff, you probably want to... Oh, this one's great. This one's great here. You probably want to make your own or find free ones. So, grab that yoke. Come on, buddy. Copy. And in Photoshop, I'm going to open that texture that we had before. Oh, we're going to start here. And the great thing about 3ds Max is I can just update the texture. So I'm just going to paste that guy in. Going to paste that guy. Paste. No, okay. Copy. How can I paste? Oh, there we go. And I'm going to shove that over to one side so it doesn't block everything. Up here. And I'm just going to find some generic metal for this part, like some fancy metal. Ooh. What do we like? Why, this one? That one's pretty cool. Alright. Copy image. It's pretty small. Let's hope it's higher. Oh, it's okay. It's a bit small, but it's fine. And I'll squeeze that over this side. And then for the shaft, ooh, some like black metal or something maybe. So as I said, you guys don't have to do this. I'm just showing you the process of what goes into it. This maybe. Okay, not what I want, but what else? Cool. Okay, way too big. Also, this is a 1024 by 1024 texture. It's not great. Ideally, you want a bit more high res, depending on how like close up you're going to be seeing the item. And something like a weapon is going to be right up in the player's face. 1024 you could get away with, to be honest. I think that's what they use in Skyrim. I'm going to slap that here, and then I'll just save all of this as the PNG. And the great thing about Max is that it should update in Max, so we should see it update on the plane because the plane is using that as a texture. Awesome, see that? So it's just updated the plane perfectly. Cool. Now, anyone remember how I add the material to my axe? If I need my axe to have that texture, what I do? Oh. But actually I don't have to, because I'm already using the texture on the plane, on the material on the plane. So I just use the same material, just drag it onto. Boop, done. Alright, you see it's all screwed up, right? Completely doesn't work. It's not unwrapped properly. That's fine, we're gonna unwrap it now. So, just do that. Have your material onto your texture. And as you saw, don't worry about it, because you can update the material later, and the texture will also update on the model.
It's a new artistic choice. It's just the battle axe, which was a new battle axes in play.
Do you think it works?
That is a new kind of battle.
Oh, I've also done a thing that I'm gonna pretend like I did it on purpose, but I didn't. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of unwrapping VW. I've put all the pieces together, which is fine. It lets me look at the shape of the battle axe. But the problem is I'm gonna need to be like looking at all the bits and pieces to unwrap them properly. Like I'll need to get into here, and I'll need to get like behind here. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass if they're all actually merged together. So generally what you do, you'll see people model, they'll shove it together to check that the size works, and then they'll separate it out again to texture it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to just separate out each of the pieces, all the elements, just move them away from each other so I can texture them and just see what's going on a bit easier. Otherwise, I'd be a bit lost. Cool. So you just get this exploded kind of battle axe. And for anyone who hasn't attached all their items together, like all the elements into one battle axe, do that. Make sure they're all attached together. If you don't remember, just grab one of the objects, hit attach, and then attach all the other pieces. So you saw when I slapped on the material, they all started using that same material because they're all technically the same object. So you want to make sure you do that. No, Brianna, no, she was fine. She was fine. Go find it. Yeah. Detach. Use the element selection. Click on one of the things you want to detach. Or you want to detach. No, you can move them separately. You're using element selection or you can move them separately. That's in the modify panel. Yeah. Element selection, set that's polygon.
I need to.
Select the other pieces. Last one. Yeah. Guys, so you need to remember these words, okay? So that tells you them. The first few weeks are very important. Like all the names that I'm saying to you, element selection, edge selection, all that stuff, just go over the video again and just remember those. So it's only the first two videos. If you just like remember exactly all those words, you'll understand what I'm trying to tell you when I say it. That's fine. All right, is everyone okay to continue? Everyone's got it attached and have the material on? No? Okay, it's fine. They should be all, are they not all attached now?
They're all in the group.
Yeah, they're all one. Yeah, perfect. So you've got the material on, but you didn't turn on the thing to see the material. I think that was the one. Now the thing is, you already have that material here.
It was that, this one has all the different textures on it.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay. You
normal.
just made two different ones.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, are we all G? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So what we're going to do is, after we moved everything apart, we've attached everything together, so it's one single object, and I can tell that here, because my ache, what the fuck's, oh, because I called it. Okay. Because my axe is only one thing here. Perfect. Now, what do I need to remember is off before I add another modifier? I need to remember, very important, make sure something is off. All these selections, none of them can be on. None of these guys can be on. Because if they are on, 3ds Max will think you're trying to apply a modifier to only a selection. And if you're not selecting anything, it won't apply the modifier to anything. So make sure these are all off. And then you can go ahead and add your unwrap UVW modifier. Same one we used the last time. I'm going to get rid of that plane in the background because it's distracting. You add the unwrap UVW modifier, and you'll see that 3ds Max has added the modifier as well as a bunch of green lines. And those green lines are like basically where Max is saying, hey, this is where I think you wanted it cut, right? Did I get that right? And it almost never gets it right. So we're just going to go ahead and ignore those lines by turning them off here under map seams. Turn them off right there. And the green lines then disappear. Everyone all good so far? Can I continue? Sweet. All right, I'm just gonna show you one part. And I'll do the easiest part. I'll do the blade here. This is the blade. Now, remember when I open UV Editor, by default it gives me a bunch of crap. And it gives me like the checkerboard. And then remember how I get my texture on? To show in my UV Editor. My mouse is going towards it. I'll just click on that. And, oh, there it is, right here. Boop. And my texture is there. Okay, it's just so I can see that I'm using my texture. Now, why does it have a checker-like pattern in the first place? Why doesn't it show me my texture in the first place? That's for unwrapping to make sure the checker pattern is an easy way to see how much texture space it's taking up. So the bigger I make an object, the more texture space it takes up. And the checker pattern allows me to visualize that very easily. But like for now, we don't really care about that. We just want to see what we're working on. So we've done this, okay? Now some people panicked about all these polygons here. These are just all the polygons that have not been unwrapped properly. If you are panicked about them, just like grab them all and, oh, there's a giant one here. Just shove them off to the side if you're panicked about them. We will be unwrapping them, so they'll come back, okay? So basically, this is basically what 3ds Max understands at the moment. So that's why you see like on the axis loads of little tiny ones. It's because 3ds Max is like, oh, the axe bit, it's huge, so it's gonna keep repeating the material over and over. So I scaled it down, you'll see that becomes, you know, really small. So as I edit the unwrap, these polygons will slowly be put into place because I'm gonna be putting them into place. So I don't need to worry too much about like shoving them off to the side. They'll come back, if you know what I mean. Okay, so is everyone kind of clear that if I select a polygon here, it corresponds to a polygon on the actual model? Yeah, does that kind of make sense to everyone? Okay, so they're exactly the same polygon. It's just this is 3D and it's being translated into a 2D plane over here. Okay, so let's have a look at our texture. Here's our beautiful texture. Have it there. Actually, everyone get up to this stage before I continue.
The texture open, none of those polygons are on it. Is that bad thing? And the lines and stuff like that? Does that mean I haven't got a selection?
It means that you didn't do the thing with the synopsis when you add a modifier.
No.
Yeah, so you selection and then we're fine.
So
You probably want to give me one up exactly. Just to be safe. Oh, you can't hit the So you see you have a selection on. So it thinks that you're only unwrapping that selection, but because you don't have a selection, you need to actually turn it off like the right there. Right? That's super important. You've done it well. You haven't done it. And on the poly, you see the way it's not square there? Now it's not. So basically you have a selection, and because you're not selecting anything, it's like I'm not unwrapping anything. Yeah, I went over that. Oh, okay. Okay, well, guys, I have to continue them. Sorry. This is, we're supposed to, yeah, you would, it's fine, because FYI, if anyone is behind the class, I don't really have time to wait for you to catch up in class, to be honest with us. You've got to do it in your own time. As I said, we will slow down, but for now, we speed them. So, everyone's good? Yes? Okay, cool. So this part, you don't have to do anything, just watch me. So I'm gonna try to unwrap. I'm gonna do the blade, it's one of the easiest parts. So I'm gonna use this guy. It's called the point-to-point seam. You'll see what it does. If I hover over a vertex, it turns into a little target. And if I click, it's got this. Now when I continue clicking, it's gonna draw lines between where I click. See what it's doing? Yay. Now sometimes it can screw up, like if I want to go over here, for example, it may not follow the exact line. It went back behind. It may not do what I want it to do, but that's fine. You can Control Z to undo and start again. Oh my god. So I'm just basically splitting the axe in half. So what I'm doing when I'm drawing this blue line is essentially like taking a pair of scissors to like a pepakura or something and cutting it out. And then I'm going to try and flatten it after I'm done. So let me just finish up the lines. Going all the way down the middle. I'm literally just slicing this one in half. This is the easiest one. That's why I'm showing you this one first. And it is a bit awkward, as you can tell. Now there's a hole here. There's a big giant hole here, so I don't need to cut around that hole. Right click to stop cutting, and then click again to continue cutting. Alright, gee. So I've basically cut this thing in half, right? There's one half here, one half here. Cool? I can turn off point-to-point seams. I'm using polygon select, so if I select one of the polygons, that's fine. And then I can do this, oh, sorry, accident. Okay, I can do this thing here, expand polygon selection to seams. So I've cut seams, and I'm selecting one of the polygons inside the seam. If I hit expand polygon selection to seam, it'll keep selecting all the way until it hits the seam, and it'll stop selecting. So let's try and see what that happens. Boom. So it's just selected everything until it hit the seam, and the seam's like a wall, and it's like, boom, stop selecting. Alright, so it's basically selecting all this half. And then all I need to do is this guy, pelt map. So pelt map is exactly like, if anyone's actually seen people skin animals before or watch a documentary on that, it's almost exactly like they have this thing that stretches out the pelt, and that's exactly what this is doing. This is like the 3D model, we've cut it out, and now we're going to stretch it out to try and make it flat. And to do that, start pelt, boom, see that? That's flatten it, and then you can relax it so it goes back. Now, sometimes this happens, that's fine, especially with complicated shapes like this. So start pelt again, I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to relax by polygon angles instead of a edge. Start my relax, a lot better, but still kind of terrible. I don't like this one. Centers. Nope. Okay. Well, in this case, we might do the good old planar map, which will just take like a snapshot of it, flat. That might work. Actually, works a lot better. This. Okay. I'll show you the cylinder, which will need to have a. Oh, that's a bit too long, isn't it? You squash it down a bit. There is this tool, which will squash it down a bit, and we should be able to rotate it. Can't rotate it. Yeah, I can't rotate it. And essentially, I'm trying to fit it onto the blade, and you can see it kind of taking shape here in real time. And it's not exactly on the blade, which is a bit of a pain. No, that will just, I could do that, but it's not nice. So what I can do, so I can grab the vertices and just individually select vertices, and it takes a little while. I can just move them into place, like so. And I could just make it smaller if I wanted to be lazy, to be honest, you are right. I could just do that, but in this case, I'm trying to make it look nice. And then, yeah, just basically keep going around fixing that. Does that kind of make sense to people? Alright, so I'm going to show you a different one. I'm going to do it on a, whatchamacallit, on a cylinder. and we'll see. So I could just go around fixing that whole thing, and you can see like up here, it's pretty good. Like there's a bit squash over here, so if I do this, that'll kind of fix it. If you can see what I'm doing, and slowly just try and get the texture right on it. Okay, so I've got a lot of work to do here. Like I basically just need to. Everyone say thanks to Brianna for selecting this beautiful, beautiful project. It's a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. Anyway, so I can spend a load of time fixing all this, okay? Meanwhile, let's go over here. Let's do the cylinder. Cylinder? Where are you, cylinder? Here. Alright. So this little piece here, I want to make this be leather, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing, point-to-point seams. I'm just going to go all around the cylinder. I'm just going to do the inner parts first. Come on, bud. I'm just going to do this little strip in the middle. Cool. And I'll go around. Cool. So I split that cylinder away from the other two pieces. Okay. Now I'm missing something. Okay, but you'll see that. So I'm going to click on one, expand polygon selection to seams, and some of you may already understand what I'm doing is wrong, but you'll see if I try to polygon and pelt that, it doesn't really, like, it does a donut rather than what it should be. I kind of want it to flatten out, and it's because I didn't cut a strip down because I wanted to open up like a piece of paper. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like it's literally, that shape is literally this, and I'm trying to flatten it, and 3ds Max is like, oh, okay, the closest I can do is a squash donut. Whereas if I cut down here, 3ds Max can be like, oh, okay, here you go, here's the shape. Okay. So let me just cut down there, and usually this like vertical cut seam, you would put it somewhere that's hidden from the player, like as hidden as possible, because you don't want to see that there's a vertical cut there. All right, so now when I start pelt, start relax, much better. And I'm going to use polygon angles. Something is wrong with my model. It's so weird. And then when I'm happy, hit commit. There it is. And I can rotate it around. It is a bit weird and squash. I think something's wrong with my model, but I'll fix it now in a sec. And yeah, I'll just squish it up like that. So that's more or less the shape that I want. And I know that I want this to be leather, so I'm gonna put that in the leather place. Let's get it in. Come on, buddy. Oh, I'm rotated the wrong way. You see the leather's going like that way instead of the way that I want it to go the other way. Much better. Now the leather goes around. Okay, so it looks like it's wrapped around the whole handle thing. Cool. Does that kind of make sense? All right. So I would like you guys to try the handle. Try doing the handle. Remember, it's this point-to-point seams to cut it, and then you unwrap with this. My model. Oh yeah, something was wrong on that. It's working better now. Ooh.
How do you deselect?
Right click.
Like,
Oh, you like delete it?
Yeah.
If you made the wrong thing? Okay, that's a good question. Alright, so if I cut something the wrong way and I want to undo and I can't undo back to where I wanted to, so if I just want to delete this thing, there's this tool here called the Edit Seams tool. If you click on that, if you click on something, it will add a seam, or if you Alt click, it will remove them. You can also Alt like select and they'll remove everything. When we come to lights, I think. Are you trying to edit it? Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to, like, I'm just trying to figure out what
So did you see the video? Like,
No, like, I only got that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Discord.
Sorry?
Oh yeah, Discord. The first two videos are on the other one.
Okay.
Okay. So you put off for the 55. I swear, like, I don't want people. Max is just such pain when you stuff like this on there. Although I guess you can go probably less. No. Yeah, it's flush. So, can I see what happens if I turn on? Yeah. Oh, okay, do this and then it doesn't happen. This not going to do this. So just click on one of them, and then we just time start the seams. So it's only doing one piece of that. That's why it's all. You haven't. Yeah.
Maybe it was Oh yeah, okay. This was spinning.
Because before we were trying to do all of them at once, so we were trying to squash all of them and
But I think that's what is important.
no. It's not coming up at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Just
haven't
commit that.
got it.
I was saying earlier on that. Well, just like maybe.
Yeah, just like
Tell me,
something.
is it?
Just select the axe part one.
I'm trying to look.
What it is. No, that one. It's all switch. That's all.
Okay, right.
But like, I'll do the axe part again. Basically, just cut the seam halfway through the axe. You know what?
Yeah. You want that now then?
If you're finished with that, like, when you finish with that. Okay. Doing the lines is funny, but Max doesn't know what you're trying to do. Just like that's going up. Okay, so what are we trying to do? What parts of it? Like, we're doing one piece at a time. So we're just going to wrap a little strip right now and just put up. Okay, just flip it, let's strip it. That's one part of it. So let's do the expand selection of the seams. Looks like this one, right? I'll keep selecting this here, it's the seams. And then so now he knows Max knows, oh, you want to help this part. Before, it's no.
It's supposed to show something like expand section. So
Yeah, you're supposed to select something first before expanding selection. So you just select one of them first. Like any of the polygons. Like the ones in the part where you're actually trying to put out the dip and then expand. There you go. To the garage? Go up to. No, that's not a minute. Okay, go to max. Did you set up the auto back like you said? Okay, let's go to open. Just cover over there. Yeah, just go to open and just look at your stuff now. And up. Like get out of seams, go up. Okay. Okay, level. And go to auto back to the second page. And so this is latest. Is that one? Yeah. Save that over your original. So you need to save CNAS. Max save CNAS. Save over the original. And this is why we auto back. And guys, then you can just try the blade. Now I found problems with the blade when trying to relax it. So I just did the quick planar map. This guy over here might look a little bit different in plane 17. Essentially what it does is your whole selection takes a picture of that selection and flattens that picture. Okay, so that's why I get the shape pretty good. And I have these two pieces here. I haven't put them together yet. So just try and do that. I will also show you a quick way. Do you know the way I did, like, I did the point-to-point seams all the way around and I cut it in half? So let me show you a quicker way. What you can also do, let me just delete all those seams. Oop, they're gone. Cool, so I have no seams here. Oh, damn it. I need to turn off select by backfacing. Cool, no seams. And I could do what I did initially and just painfully, slowly cut it in half all the way around the model. I can do that, and that will take a while. But luckily, this model, if I want to cut in half, that's along an edge loop. Remember we talked about edge loops? So it's a bunch of loops all together. So I can do this. Let me turn that off. I can use the edge selection, select one of the edges, and there's this thing here. that does a loop. Boom, that goes all the way around. And just make sure it does go all the way around. Make sure it doesn't screw up, because sometimes it does. So that's all the way around. I'm pretty happy with that. I just need to hit this button that will convert my selection to seams. And there we go. Just cut that whole thing in half. A lot easier than the other way. So there are different ways of creating seams. Some you use in some situations and some you use in other situations. Okay? And when you cut out the blade pieces, just put them side by side up here, and I'll show you what we'll do from there. Can someone invite? You just got it down here.
Yeah.
Someone can move something.
I want to get all these. But I can't scale them. If they're all being selected.
Are you trying to like scale them by not uniformly?
I know. I want to try and select this and get all this. Just do all this. Just try and-
What are you trying to do?
This is just my count maps here.
Okay.
I just want to move it over here, but I can't.
Oh, because the only one's in the way? Okay, just zoom out a bit. You can hit this guy. I will only show what you're selecting right now. So that's why I told you guys to move everything off to the side.
I tried to, but all this is like connected every time I move one kind of one plane of it.
So we'll move. This is your new color, right? This guy. That little rectangle. And then, like, as we unwrap, it'll come back. Right foot. Across. If I can move on in about 5 minutes, is that okay? Yeah? Alright, we got a contract. 5 minutes.
Stretch rock.
Well, that's just the way I just find it. You just kind of really film that just there because you want to film it right. So you got to be realistic. So, stretch outwards. Especially the Because each one's got different shapes. Okay, so you want to just separate it, you don't have to separate it. Remember, I never said that when you start going through, like it like automatically as well. You have to keep change the shape. Yeah. Like so you have to have different like objects and you have your shape. But then one, and we'll only do one as well. So I don't want to go over one to separate that. Just do the whole thing. The next one you come like a little bit after, so it's really well, I like if you yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Like the part you more work on obviously go there. Yeah, especially moving narrative. Yeah, exactly. Scholarship. Okay, yes. No.
Okay, contract time is up. 5 minutes. You just got it? Everyone got it?
I don't need to click select right because I'm sorting between them.
What's it again, sorry?
No, God, I don't have to click select right because I'm sorting between them.
Yeah, you can exit. It'll save. Wait, did you do the blade? You didn't do the blade.
No, well, I just got this one.
OMG.
It's small chicken.
It's like blade was supposed to be. I thought. Alright, so once you have the blade, you see like I have 2 pieces up here. Now, I could do what I did the first time I showed you, like where I put the blade there and I slowly started fixing it. But then I have to do it for both sides, and that's going to be like painful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one side of the blade, and this button up here will flip them. Boop. And that way I can overlay the 2 of them, and then I just need to edit everything once. And if I want to be exact, I can snap them as well using vertex selection. And now they're exactly overlaid, so if I select all of them, I can move them both together, and you see that both of them are being updated as I do stuff because they're both overlaid on top of each other. It just means I have to do this job once. Richie, I'm actually going to do what you were saying and just be lazy and just make it smaller than the... It's not always, but for now, it's fine. Just fix some of these parts. So if you guys want to try and do that with your blades, and now when I look at my blade, it's pretty good. Oh, there's a bit of a white piece up here. What is that? Oh, down here. It's pretty good. Got a blade. And I had to do it once. And once you guys figure out the blade part, you should be able to do the small blade part. It's exactly the same process. What? Yeah, it does look. I don't know why they do stuff like that. It's annoying as well because it has a couple of bugs that don't exist in 2016 that are really bad bugs. 2014 was okay. It was a bit like buggy, but
That's more for me, like didn't crash as much as 15 and 16 and 18.
16's pretty handy, I have to say.
You don't major updates on that though. You give it a chance. It's still good working.
That's completely fair. No. Wait till I finish this. But yes. Okay. But my axe is so pretty now. Okay. So.
So I selected all my edges.
Uh-huh.
And then
And such.
do I need to expand the selection?
Uh-huh. Because otherwise it doesn't know what to turn that on. So now it's expanded.
That's
It knows.
my problem.
Okay, so I didn't felt because, well, try felt it, see what it does. Not a great user. So yeah, let's cancel that. So instead of pelting, I used the one with this quick trainer map here. Yeah, come in. And then just take a snapshot of it.
And then
And
you
then-
fix it with this.
I moved that away first, and then I did the other half. Couple of problems with that. One.
It seems to have all these tiny parts to it. Unlike,
Let me find that first.
like, all these bits.
We didn't connect the thing first, but those tiny little parts of the side parts. You know?
Is that okay?
Because we didn't connect all these, so we're going to use on that. Now, the only thing you have is see the green ones, those are where the seams are. So the white ones are these. Yeah, they're outer, so they should be inside this guy here.
And why is mine so basic?
It's just because we did the other option, which was the snapshot. And if you look at it from the side, the white is overlapping. So like this spot here, I do a snapshot that is outside of the name, and the green is reverted.
Alright, yeah.
Right, so now you just need to do the other side, and then snap them all together. Put them on the blade, no problem. Everyone say. Good. I used vertex selection tool. Ellen, you must get your worksheet over there. Can I then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Send it
full time.
tomorrow and things.
Perfect. Okay. Come and say hi, Lee.
Yeah. I saw it was on the magazine.
Oh, okay.
The product is being like in recommendation to and then it's in the board games or something on Androids.
Yeah.
So I think we will actually get it that's not what the developers will need. I think it's in the most registered youth. So
Oh,
these
okay.
ones will have over now and I think it can
Okay.
so you know, it's the new guy, I think they're all going to
Right.
for long. That was the night I didn't really have to dance. It's like, I didn't, that was a fun, but to those floors. It's crazy.
Okay, yeah, who's on in right
When we were alone, all of the, Colin.
Oh, Martin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I think
on.
it is. then you probably want to find videos.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like
so.
you're completely
Oh, yeah, 100%. I got it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's anything you just want to get after this week, yes.
Yeah.
You didn't cut your stuff, peeps. Remember I said something at homework was to do all this jazz, all the little connecting stuff. It makes it easier if you just actually understand. Now you can make it. We're gonna not use this one. This is going to be all. Yeah.
When I made my
Yep.
axe face, now this is disappeared. I think it's because there was some. Yeah, this was taken out.
Oh, and I accidentally selected it. You can select like the whole thing, but for that page, you just select one page. Do you guys prefer if I moved to 2018? Or anything? Yeah, there's some of it's not a massive amount, but there's a few.
Everyone else is on 18.
But I thought about like Squissy or something like that.
Are you 17 as well?
Yeah, what do you
That was 17.
Alright, can I have hands up to 17? Who's on 17 right now?
17.
And who's on 16? Yeah. Almost half. Yeah, prefer regular 17? It's just because it's all buggy, you know. You on 18?
Because I thought the post days there, Facebook was the days to.
Oh, 2016 to 18 was fine. Anywhere between just as a few. I don't want to move everything like that. But doing good ones. Read with the lady. You almost done? Yeah. 10 minutes. I should go get coffee. You gonna want coffee? I'll buy coffee for y'all. Nobody else want coffee? No? Sure. How much is filter coffee then, Darren?
€1 in the company.
Well,
150 now, so
Yeah.
it's the same
It
price.
was filtered coffee. And
Capture
your best bet is probably
Yeah.
have a
I'm gonna go
a little
network.
bit more expensive. And network across the road.
No, but I was talking about like coffee for everyone, but I'll go my credit card subscription.
I'll take the €1 price point for the offer.
It's called network.
Well, that was that said.
So I tried to do like one, and I didn't do the double thing because I was happy with doing the one, so at least it worked. I don't mind, but it was upside down and so whatever. So now I'm
It's like, it's as if it was 3D and it went.
instead of the problem with my neck, or with my model.
And
I
the
just
second
want-
one. And I did the smooth it.
No, I did the smooth, and I forgot about the
Did the
second.
auto smooth it. No, I did that quickly.
Oh, that's really, really nice. Fake it.
I had to use this all to be on the white lines. It's green on the other side. Left foot. No, the time, I think I just had to go through it. Right then. And I hydrated. Maybe I'll see the location for it. No, I think that's way. I think I'm past that part now. Oh, I need to register for the LCA one. Yeah. Because the thing is, since the contract, I have to go and show them another one. Yeah, I bought it. Probably you guys do it. Yeah, we're in it, so let's see. Oh, no, I don't Deciding slot is the only probably with the online. I don't know.
You do it online, you just stick it up
I think.
Yeah.
So my last time I used this button and I clicked on the heads and it's like in the first place.
That regards no, I don't know why.
Yeah. You've got that stuff. No.
Click on one again, you still do it.
You still have an
Yeah, select one.
They used to always do like
I'm trying to figure out why this is white. So I'm not sure the white
So, is everyone good?
the back is.
Yeah? We all managed to get there? Anyone need a hand? Sweet!
Nothing on that.
Alright. Cool. The rest of the stuff is actually fairly simple. Let me do this one. Same thing again. Just do the point-to-point seams and cut down the middle. And this one I'm going to put in the silver portion. That fancy metal that we looked at. Span. Start. Relax. Knit. And I'll dump that into the filigree portion because it looks pretty. Cool, that looks pretty good. Right there. That works quite well. So, yeah, just do that. Now for these little pieces here, it's like a little top here. What I can do is, and this is a bit weird, so you might want to watch this. Doing the point-to-point seams again. Turn off selection. I'm going to do the cut like this. And I'm going to cut around the top, which I have forgotten to make into quads. And I'm going to stop it here and leave one space connected. So it's going to be like a can, like a Coke can. So I'm going to cut down so the can will open up and then it'll have a little lid to the side of it. Alright, and we should be able to see that when I unwrap it. Boom. Start pelt. Start relax. There you go. So that's that Coke can there, and then here's a little lid on top of it. Does that kind of make sense? Alright, so sometimes when you don't really care about a certain piece, you might want to do that just to save time. So I've just done that. So I, instead of doing the whole thing round as a piece and in the bottom by itself, just do them all together, save time. Just depends what you're trying to do. And I'm just going to dump that in like the middle area. Don't really care about it. Back here. And there we go. And then I just need to do the same to the top. As for this long shaft thing, I've kind of screwed up because I forgot to get a texture for it. Well done, Baz. But it's fine because I can edit my Photoshop's still here, and I can edit this. So let's go. Cool. Move this guy over to the side a bit, so it's here, and then I'll put like some long metal piece or something here. I'll look for some. What texture would work? I can make it wooden actually. Awesome, there's dark wood there. Cool. So the amount of texture space it takes up should be like proportional to how big it's going to be on the model.
Yeah, I was wondering why he made
The leather piece giant.
when it was the thing that got
Because I'm
used.
stupid. So I'm not a smart man sometimes. Alright, so let me just refresh this. Yep, there we go. Need to move these guys up here. Well, if you were wondering, why didn't you say something, Kean?
Because I thought you were.
Why'd you let me do that? Why'd you let me embarrass myself like that?
I thought you literally knew what you were doing.
Ooh. Ooh. That hurt just a little bit. I'm human too. You just make mistakes, okay? And I'm going to do this just like a cylinder. It's just going to be a really long cylinder. Oh, why doesn't the cut work? Is there a little piece down here? Oh, it is a little piece. Oops. Relax by polygon angles. So every time you're having a problem with pelt and wrapping, try to go to the settings here and change it to polygon angles, and it usually works much better. Depends on what you're unwrapping. Some things work better with edge, some things work better with polygon, and that works pretty well. And there we go. Got a wooden staff bit. Cool. So my axe is actually coming together pretty decently. So I need to do the little top part here, and need to do the top sections of these pieces here. So I'm just going to go through them. Is everyone kind of clear what to do with the rest of it? Yeah, it's basically all the same shapes after this. Like, so it's just finishing it off. There's no other weird shapes really that you need to deal with. So we'll just go through and finish off this axe, and we'll start something new next week. By the way, is this what people thought 3D modeling was? Yeah? Okay, cool. You're not surprised. That's true. Do we share with the class, Liam?
You said next week on After Design, so it's like a TV show for the same night.
Oh, right. Like next week on Acid Design. They don't do that anymore, though. They don't have that like next week previews, really. So what we have to do, yeah, it's kind of we have to do like previously on Acid Design. Oh, this weird shape down the bottom. Forgot completely about this weird shape down the bottom. Why don't we ask Brianna? Chew. Why don't we do a donut, Brianna? This weird shape's not that weird actually. It's just kind of like, I'm gonna cut it in half like this, but up here on the top, I'm actually gonna cut seams in all of these, like so. And you'll kind of see why and I'll do it down the bottom as well, so that they'll be able to split into like they'll do like little ridges. So if I try to expand selection, start pelt, you see they've got like those little, because I've cut them, they're able to split out. Start relax, and you get this nice little, actually I'm gonna not split these because they seem to be okay. So I can always remove seams with Alt. And let's try that again. Start pelt, start relax. Cool, much better. And you see, like, because I've cut the top here, they do this. Okay? Now, what happens if I didn't cut the top? Let's find out. It would not unwrap as neatly. So it would look, because it's being pinched down the bottom and it's being pinched on the top, so we get kind of squashed. And it just kind of doesn't really work that well. You see, it's trying to flatten it out, but it doesn't. So if I just give it some freedom by cutting all those tops, it will be able to separate out a lot easier. Hey. But it's very different. Like, a small cut can make a huge difference. That wasn't a sarcastic word. Okay. That was a sarcastic word. Oh, were you? Okay. Okay. I'll allow it. Cool. Alright. So just move that here. Fancy little bit. Is anyone having any major problems at the moment? I mean, both. I can help with some stuff. You don't have a massive problem in your life, do you, Alex? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. See me after class. Is Liam bullying you? Oh god. It's worse than I thought. Oh, and just one last interesting thing you guys might want to know. So I'm selecting this piece, I'm gonna pelt it, start pelt, start relax, and it's a circular shape all the way around. So it's kind of like done a little bendy thing because it's circular shape, okay? It's just this piece here. Now the thing is, I want to put like filigree design on it, so I want to use this fancy texture over here. But if I do it curved, if I just slap the texture on there now, it's gonna look a bit weird, I think. Let's remove it. Might work, but I think it'll look a bit weird. We'll see. So you see it's kind of like, it's not that bad actually. It's actually not that bad. But let's say I did want it to go exactly straight, right? All I need to do is hit this button here under reshape elements that says straighten selection. Now it's all straight, yay. And I can put it in and it should just like be a little strip and then go like straight across. Cool? So if you ever want to like straighten out the selection, it's literally just called straighten selection. Why you gotta bring it? Why you gotta bring it there? And when you guys are finished, you can convert it back to editable poly, and boom, it is done. What's also useful when it's an editable poly, like first we can put it back together. Let's put it back together. So, cool. Alright, so I put it back together, which is great, looks pretty good. What's also useful when it's editable poly is I can duplicate stuff just as I would normally. I can just grab the element and duplicate it, but it will also remember its unwrap information, which is really great. So this is very important for if I'm trying to make something like a structural building which has, let's say, a lot of windows. I just need to unwrap one window, convert it back to editable poly, and then copy that window, and they're all already unwrapped. Now the problem, what most people do is they'll like do a window and then do another window and another window, and it's like, well, you've now got like 10 windows to unwrap. So if I wanted to do this little sharp piece here, I can just copy it and have a mega sharp axe with like extra pointy bits. Awesome. And as you can see, it's already textured. Don't need to do it again, all right? Because it's a copy of this piece that already has UV coordinates on it. So I don't need to do anything else on it. So that's why I don't really want to, that's why planning what you're gonna do is very important, because if I knew that I was gonna do all these three, then I just model one and unwrap one and copy them later, instead of like going, oh crap, I need to have something else modeled or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty useful. This best axe ever. Looks like an anime axe or something. Cool. And that's ready to go to Unity now. Anyone else need help? You're all pretty good? Okay, so before we finish up, I know it's like 15 minutes, but I'll be here to help you unlock. So just for next week, just have this axe finished. That's good. First, thank you. Try 2016 maybe. Just so you can watch it.
I don't know if it's pretty broad, like, oh, yeah. Why did you like this? Is that there? Oh, yeah, exactly.